What's up, 49er fans? Welcome back into the Long Beach State Men's Basketball Show here on Spreaker.com's own national sports. Of course, Big West play gets underway this Thursday. Long Beach State opening up the Big West slate with a black and blue rivalry game against the UC Irvine Anteaters. UCI 9-7 on the season. Impressive win on the road at Washington back on November the 14th, but they've also had some shady losses per se. At home against Boston, at home against Pepperdine. This has been an up-and-down team all season long, so it'll be interesting to see what UCI ball club shows up to the Walter Pyramid 8 p.m. on Thursday night as Big West Conference play gets started. And to join me tonight talking about Big West Conference play, it is Trent Schloem of ESPN, play-by-play man for the Big West Conference men's basketball season this year. Trent, welcome to the show.
Hey, man, Chris, thank you so much for having me. I really appreciate it.
No problem. I just really appreciate you taking the time out tonight. Trent, you've been studying up on Big West Men's Basketball Show,
Yes.
Big West Men's Basketball all season long. What can you tell us about UCI and what kind of team they're going to bring to the Walter Pyramid on Thursday night?
Well, I think the easy thing with UCI is when you look at their big men, they have three guys over 7 feet tall, right? All sorts of Mamadou Ndiaye, 7'6". The guy's an absolute, he's a force on the court. And, you know, the thing about him is he's not just 7'6". You talk about the guys like, you know, a Sean Bradley or Manute Bowles who are of that height. Those guys are skinny. Mamadou is not that. He's a force inside, and I think teams are really going to have a tough time kind of adjusting to what they do going in there. But they have a lot of good players. I tell you the one thing UCI might be missing would be that great shooter. They have a bunch of athletes, though. They attack the basket so well. One thing that may be a concern for Coach Turner's team a little bit, besides not having a shooter, is getting back defensively. They've showed a little bit of trouble there, but boy, when this team gets out in transition, they are just so good.
You know, they definitely are a good team if you've watched them this season. Will Davis II, I think he's given Long Beach State fits in the past. What's been inconsistent about this team? At 9-7, they sit as the third best team in the conference record-wise. I mean, they played a pretty decent non-conference schedule, but you know, some of these losses are kind of odd per se. I mean, the big win at Washington, you know, that was a nice pickup, even though Washington isn't, you know, one of the stronger teams in the Pac-12 this season. Yeah, exactly. And then they went to Cal and got blown out. Didn't really give ASU much of a game and got blown out at Oregon. I mean, it's not really a shame getting blown out by any of those teams, but, I mean, the losses at home to Boston and Pepperdine, I mean, what's been so inconsistent about Russ Turner's squad?
You want to have better showings than that, and it's, you know, they just haven't been able to put a full 40 minutes together. I think that's been the biggest issue for them. I would say, if I'm a UCI fan, really, though, when you look at the talent on this squad and how good this team could be, I think eventually they could get to that level. But at this point, they're simply not there yet. And you said it, Chris. They've had a few inconsistencies. So if I'm a UCI fan, I'm a little, you know, puzzled by what you've seen from UCI so far. I still think this team is one of the better teams in the Big West. I do put them in the top half of the conference. But they entered this year being the preseason, you know, top pick in the conference. In my opinion, I don't think they'll finish there, but this is still a very good UCI team. I'm looking forward to seeing them. I get them next Thursday when they take on Cal State Fullerton. So that'll be a good one on ESPN 3, 7 o'clock.
You got to get that. Always got to get that tidbit in. Understandably, Long Beach State, on the other hand, of course, this is the Long Beach State Men's Basketball Show. Long Beach State 4-10, but as I was saying in the first part of the show, you know, probably the best 4-10 team in the nation. I mean, not that that's saying all that much. Not that that's saying all that much, but they just gave Missouri a good game on the road, and previous to that, they had won 3 consecutive ball games. This all aided by the return of UCLA transfer Tyler Lamb. I mean, yeah, we've been hearing about Lamb a lot these past 3 weeks, but what is it about Lamb that makes Long Beach State that better of a team?
Well, for one, he's a star player. I remember covering him at Mater Day, nearby high school in Santa Ana, and he was so good then, part of those, you know, great championship Mater Day basketball teams. So a great program. And then he spent some time at UCLA, kind of got the raw end of the deal on the Shabazz Muhammad situation. and now he ends up at Long Beach. He's a really good player. The most important thing that he does, though, is what he opens up Mike Caffey's game so much. He allows Caffey to get some of that pressure off of him because Lamb is a good shooter, and he has no hesitation when it comes to taking shots. The important thing for Lamb to do, and so far he's done it, is been the 1B option. Understanding that this is Mike Caffey's team, he is the leader, and to take not necessarily a back seat, but to understand he's the 1B option, even though he may be the better player.
Tyler Lamb certainly has been a big impact for the 49ers, 3-1 since his return. He's averaging just over 20 points per game since becoming eligible December 19th against USC. Is Lamb the type of player that has a chance to win Big West Player of the Year?
I think it's going to be tough considering he missed the entire first half of the season, missed all of non-conference play, but I think he has that talent level. And this is a year, I think Al Williams up at UC Santa Barbara is going to have, second thoughts about that. But I think if Lamb puts together a great season, absolutely he can be in that conversation.
Of course, there's a lot of good players in the conference. I mean, UCSB, big Al Williams down there. UCSB 9-4 on the season. 2 losses coming against a very good Utah State team. The other 2 losses coming against Colorado and UCLA out of the Pac-12. Big-time wins on the road against UNLV and a win at home against Cal really highlighted the non-league slate for UCSB. They start their league play Saturday when Cal Poly visits the Thunderdome. Joe Lunardi of ESPN. You can say one of your counterparts there, right? Joe Lunardi.
I think that, big company. It's a big company.
Yeah, ESPN's a big company. Yeah, not that you might know Joe Lunardi, but
I spent no time in Bristol, so
yeah,
I've
understandable.
never been on the Bristol team.
Absolutely understandable. Well, right now in his infamous bracketology, he has UCSB down as a 12 seed heading to the NCAA tournament. Do you think UCSB is the best team in the conference?
I do, and because of what they've shown, non-conference play, this team beats UNLV. Now, once they beat them up, beats UNLV, beats Cal. They had an impressive showing against UCLA in a game that was much closer than what the score shows. UCSB is very, very good. But, Chris, let me tell you this. The Big West this year, I think, is one of those years where even your top teams like a Long Beach State, a UCSB, Hawaii, other teams that you put in that conversation, UCI, none of those teams have been all that consistent. Every team has some question mark to go along with them. I think this is the kind of year where a Cal Poly, a Northridge, a UC Davis, if one of them gets hot, they can stick their way into the tournament.
Wow, I certainly agree that this is one of the conference's better years, but really, what do you see in those teams such as...
What I'm saying is you have a Northridge team who has got a ton of great athletes. UC Davis are a bunch of great shooters. If either of them get hot, I really like what I've seen from Cal Poly so far. I'm not saying that those are necessarily better teams because those top 4 I think are pretty secure, and you'd have a tough time arguing that. What I am saying, though, is if one of those teams gets hot, because of the way the conference is this year, all 4 of those top teams seem to have some kind of question, a little bit in flux. Even Long Beach State, you don't really know what you're going to get. Obviously, a lot of high expectations being that Tyler Lamb is back and this team's 3-1 his return with the win over USC. But again, I don't know that this team has the depth to get through the Big West tournament. That said, if Long Beach State were to get there, I think that's the team with the best chance to pull off an upset in the tournament because they have the most star power.
Yeah, I was mentioning that in the first segment, Al, and I definitely agree with you on that. Long Beach State, if there is a team from the Big West to get an NCAA tournament victory, it's certainly the Long Beach State 49ers. Battle-tested once again this season. The non-conference schedule, it was brutal for Long Beach State, like it is every season. Do you like what Dan Munson does by scheduling all these top 25 teams, all these Power 6 conference teams? Do you like that he does that to get his team better prepared for conference play, or maybe in the case of the team 2 years ago, a chance at an at-large bid?
Yeah, it's going to be – this isn't the year year that the Big West is going to get 2 teams into the tournament because the way non-conference play went. But when you make that schedule, you do it with the understanding that you're going to have some star players returning. Coach Munson and the 49ers have not had that with those couple guys getting dismissed last year. So when you make that schedule, you think you're bringing a different team out. I do like it. I like the get after it mentality that you're going to go after any player, any team. You're not afraid to take on a big challenge. Plus, it does so much, not just for your program, but for the entire conference. When you can pull off a big W against a great powerhouse team, if you are able to pull off one of those upsets. And Long Beach State has shown very well against some very good teams.
I mean, it should be fun, certainly. Thursday night at the Mid, Long Beach State and UC Irvine kick off a Big West play. Trent, you're going to be down at UC Davis and Cal State Northridge, one of the other good games of the night in the Big West Conference. As far as the Big West Conference goes, I know you said UCSB. Right now you like them atop the conference, but what are your predictions for this conference? I mean, who wins the regular season title in the Big West, and who wins the Big West Conference tournament to get to the NCAA tournament? Because like I was saying in the first segment, as great as it is Long Beach State to say they've won 3 consecutive Big West Conference regular seasons in a row, I mean, you might as well just give them a ribbon, right? I mean, they don't get any buys. I mean, the first seed is the same as the 8th seed in the Big West Conference tournament. All you got to do, you win 3 games. I mean, it's a little bit different from the WCC where the top 2 seeds get a bye the first couple of rounds, but I mean, that's the tough thing for Long Beach State. I mean, they've won the last 3 conference titles per se, but I mean, the regular season winner is not always going to move on to the NCAA tournament.
That's exactly right. You have to win that tournament at the end of the year, and I think UC Santa Barbara. If I'm gonna put all my eggs in one basket, I'm gonna put them in the Santa Barbara basket. I think this is the best team to win the regular season. They have, I think, the most talented player in the conference. They do. They have shown a few depth issues, but they have a pretty good supporting cast. And I think Coach Williams has this team looking very strong, and just their resume looks so good at the moment. That's the team that has impressed me the most. The only team that I don't see UCI being there at the end of the year. Again, that's a really good team, but from what we've seen in these first 15 games, they haven't put it together enough for me to be a real believer that they can win the Big West regular season. I think Long Beach State can get into the mix, but they're going to have a lot to work through. I think it's going to be important for Long Beach State fans to not get frustrated come start of conference play when you're having to deal with guys getting used to playing each other with a Caffey and Tyler Lamb, figuring out the dynamic between those two, and then how you work everybody else in there. Plus, depth has been an issue for them as well. I think that's kind of a running theme in the Big West. Is there's not a whole lot of deep benches, which is not anything new to this conference, but at the same time, it is an issue. I like UCSB to win it all, but if there's one team I think that can challenge them, I think it would be Long Beach State. You could also say Hawaii. My reservations with Hawaii, though, and because we've even had this conversation before. They don't travel that well.
No.
They're at home. They don't lose at home. They don't beat good teams. We just saw it at the end of the year, at the end of December. They were beating good teams, but those were all home games. And doing it on national TV, that doesn't hurt either. I think Hawaii will be there at the end. I'm just having a really tough time believing there will be a better team during the regular season of conference play of anybody really taking over the number 1 spot from UC Santa Barbara.
No, I definitely got to agree with you as of right now. I certainly think Long Beach State, even UC Irvine and Hawaii can definitely contend with UCSB for that top spot. I mean, but you look at Hawaii, I mean, they've left the island once and they're 1-1 away from the island. So, I mean, let's see how they do when they go to Cal Poly on Thursday night, a place where they got absolutely obliterated last year up at Mott Gym. So it'll be interesting to see how Gib Arnold's team responds on Thursday night. Trent, thanks so much for coming on the show. Any